The first question is, how does it feel watching Paige race?
It's pretty exciting. It's something you don't think about as a 25-year-old coming into it, because I remember my dad saying the same thing to me. I know you're 24 now, but as a kid growing up in the sport, my dad would ask me say that same thing to me. And but I tell you, as a parent, watching your child race, your kids race, is pretty awesome. It's you get to spend time with them, travel with them, do things with them, help them try and achieve their goals, and just be a part of their life as they've been a big part of our lives. And so I'd say, to answer the question, it's pretty awesome.
Like, what influenced you to jump in the race car?
Oh my gosh. I won't forget it because I was probably like 14 or 15 years old, and we were riding horses very competitively up until that point. That was my first love of horsepower right there, just one
horse.
And we weren't riding as much anymore, and you had the Huddleston Junior Dragsters. Remember, I tried the Spitzer back when I was like,
yeah, it's a good car.
I was like 8 or 9 or something like that. So you have the Huddleston, and you're like, why don't we go out to National Trail Raceway? Why don't you go try this? And I was like, okay. Because I'm like, I didn't love it the first time around. I was a lot younger, but I wasn't very good at it. So I was like, I don't know about this. But then I tried it, and I'm like, you know what? This ain't too bad. This is pretty shabby. I mean, it's pretty cool. So that's where we kind of got started. And then as I did the Junior Dragsters, I liked it. But I liked going on the road more with my dad and being a part of like the Pro Mod team, where that was like Kyle Pettis, Steve Petty, Mike Reese. Those were the bigger players when I was more involved in the team. And I was still pretty young when other members were there, but I liked doing all the GoPros and the social media. I would make all the posts for him, which I thought was pretty cool. And I loved watching it. I thought, you know what, I want to do this one day. I want to be a pro mod racer like my dad one day. And then I got into Super Comp, and that's a dragster, so that's not the same kind of car, but it was still in the same association. Mine's called Sportsman Racing, and his was, well, maybe a smidge. Mine was Sportsman, his was like professional. But I could still go to all the same races, and we kind of did that for a little bit when you were running that Mustang, and that was my first year running national events.
Oh, yeah.
So we did get to race together a little bit, but it wasn't the same, but it was a great place to start and learn. And now that, even though I'm racing no Prep Kings, it's not pro modified, but it's something I still get to do with my dad, and it's like, to me, it's just as cool, if not cooler, because of the atmosphere with the fans and the apparel and the going up on the starting line and the talking shit and like the cameras and all that kind of stuff. It's still really cool. So I get to kind of put my own twist on being like my dad, and the role that I played on his team, I get to now play his role on our team, but with a lot of still the same people, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So it's been a blast.
I'd like to know if you would ever switch to turbos or if you're pro charger all the way.
Well, as the saying goes, make turbo cars great again. I would never say no.
No, that's it. If the question's aimed at me, I tell you, that's a tough call, because they're both fantastic components, and they're both great power adders. And it's however the rules lay out would kind of force us to go towards whichever power adder makes the most sense. That would be the direction that we would probably go at this point in time. And Pro Charger's been awesome. Harriet Precision Turbo's been a great friend of mine and has helped us with pieces and parts over the years to win championships. And so it's hard to say right now, but I think the rules kind of dictate you a direction on what to do, really. So
I agree.
That's what I would say.
If that was the direction to go, it would be very cool to try it, knowing that you were the Turbo King. In my opinion, in my eyes you were. And if that's the direction, that was the best for us rules-wise, like you just said. Yeah, I think that'd be really cool to try one day.
Is MPK over?
No, no it's not. We will be back. I've already seen races for NPK, no prep elite.
I'll get it under control here sometime. I think I got
Sit
it.
down.
Sometime.
I've already seen races pop up on individual track schedules. Now, if you want to be savvy, start Googling those racetracks because some of them have their schedules up with that race already listed.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you which ones because that would be too easy. You have to go hunt for it like I do. I check every single week because we still don't know our full schedules, but I do know we're having a race here, we're having a race there. So hopefully pretty soon we do get our full schedule, but we will have another season. It is not over. It is not dead. We will be back for season 8 of No Prep Elite.
Have you ever thought about running NHRA Pro Mod?
I think it'd be cool. I mean, maybe one day. Maybe one day it'd be pretty neat. I mean, right now we are pretty invested in the No Prep Elite series. I think it's so badass because of the way that it's all set up. You know, I did get to experience it when it was Street Outlaws, No Prep Kings. I had season 6 where I made the invitational class and I got to do all the filming and got to talk all the shit in the mics, and that was a lot of fun. I'm really sad y'all didn't hear what I have to say. Maybe one day you will, because I talked a lot of smack towards the end of it. I was really proud of myself. But No Prep Elite is different, and I think that it's going to take off. I think there's a possibility we'll be coming back to TV. We're keeping our fingers crossed. I have very high hopes for it, so as long as we're trucking and No Prep Elite, I think that's where we're going to stay. I mean, Pro Modified is such a badass class. I fell in love with it as my dad got more involved in it, and just seeing how it's so diverse compared to some of the other classes that NHRA offers. To me, that was the most intriguing part about it. I've always loved NHRA Pro Modified. I think I always will have a soft spot for it in my heart. I think to have the opportunity to ever try it, I would never turn that down. To go quarter mile, to go that fast. I mean, I know how fast you went. You guys were going pretty damn fast. And even at the Las Vegas race, you went 274 in a quarter mile. Like, that's just nuts. That's nuts. So just knowing that that's what those guys are doing, and they're getting faster and faster every year, and you'll especially see that in the winter series going on right now in Bradenton. It's very, very impressive. So to be able to be a part of that one day, I think would be really cool. If we ever get the opportunity to try it, sign me up. But for right now, I'm pretty happy where we're at.
They want to know if you're doing any match race events anytime soon. So like,
well, I think having match race events would be pretty badass, but we do have some things up our sleeves that we're working on right now in the shop that we cannot take the car away from, because we're changing some things up on it to help it make it faster, lighter. I mean, anything that we're trying to do, because we need to be able to do these things in order to keep up with the rest of the guys, because they proved how fast they were. Even if we can't see an ET slip, we know everybody was pretty fast this year. So we're trying to make the changes necessary to keep up with those guys and beat them any way we can, because that's the goal. But we're also not only working on Golden Child, we're also building a brand new car. And so we all need to be in the shop and doing our roles, whether we're here in Florida or up north helping build the car. We all got to play our roles, and hopefully getting that done sometime in the 2025 season. So might not be able to make some match races this year, but it's very much going to be worth it, and y'all are going to love what we have to bring out.
You know, if things happen to go pretty smooth over the next couple of weeks and stuff like that, and something gets put together, there's a good chance we could jump in.
Y'all will be the first to know.
Yes.
I'll tell you that. There is a potential for a match race. There is a potential. I think it's just if we can make a few changes here and there on Golden Child in the next couple of weeks, like my dad just said, then it's a possibility that we can accomplish that. But if we can't make it, then we're just going to keep cracking down and getting these things ready for the season to start, because we actually don't know when our season will start. It very well could be March, it could be June. We don't have any way to know yet, so we need to be ready, and that's our priority. So we need to make sure we get those cars ready to rock and roll for the next season in No Prep Elite. But if we can make this match race happen, we sure as hell are going to do it.
Yeah.
will you ever follow your family's footsteps and drive a pro stock car? The question is everywhere.
Do y'all want to know like how many times people ask me that? I wish I had a number for you. You know what? You know how many dollars we could have for every time I get that question?
Not to run.
Oh my gosh. But it's a good valid question, because my family has played a very prominent role in pro stock. You ran pro stock, TJ's running pro stock, Uncle Jag's running pro stock, and I think it is a very cool class. I've never driven anything with a clutch pedal. I will admit that. I couldn't even drive stick on the street. It's kind of embarrassing, but I'm going to admit it.
No, it's nothing to be embarrassed about. TJ's never driven a car with a stick in it either until he got into a pro stock car.
Wait, really?
Yeah. And
Okay, so I don't feel as
he's
bad.
done really, really well.
I've admitted that to a few people, and they're like, "But you're Coughlin," and I'm like, "I don't want to hear it." Don't judge me.
Pressure.
I mean, I think it's a very cool class.
Yeah.
I think my brother is extremely talented. I mean, Uncle Jag is Uncle Jag.
Yeah.
You don't really have to say much about his talent because he's shown himself for sure. TJ, watching him is so impressive, like seeing his in-car camera videos, seeing how much he practices every single day.
Mm-hmm.
He is so flipping committed, it's not even funny. And I want to continue to watch him excel in that class and continue to dominate in that class because there's a lot of heavy hitters. And he definitely, if we could put all the tools together to make that happen, it's all right there. We just got to put the pieces together. And it's exciting because we get to do it with a really cool group with Elite Motorsports. I think that team in itself is so much fun to be around, especially when I get to go watch those races. So I always have a blast. But if I ever got the chance to try it, like I said, I would never say no. I can't tell you I'm going to get all the shift lights down. I'll probably be a little slow on that at first, so don't come for me. But I might leave the clutch pedal to my brother and my uncle for right now because I really like having to drive the wheels off the car and it's going side to side and all over the place on a no prep track and just trying to go as fast as we can, and it's loud and it's chaotic. I think that's more my style.
It's a handful.
It's a handful, but I love the fact that it is a handful. I love having to drive that car. At first it scared the absolute shit out of me, but now I'm starting to really like it. And I'll tell Spike, I'm like, you know, that run was boring because it was so nice. And that's what we call a milkshake run, where you can balance your milkshake right next to your shifter.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then you get one of those, and you're like, I wasn't crossing the finish line like this or like this. You know, it happens every now and then, but I prefer that kind of driving as of right now. But one day, maybe it would be pretty cool to drive. We'll see.
What roles do you guys play in each other's lives at the racetrack?
Oh, jeez. You sit there with your stogie, either outside.
Mentor when you can. Every now and then you'll come back with a question, and sometimes you'll come back with, hey, I remember what you told me last year. I see what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, and that's helping me drive. Which makes it easy, a little bit easier for Mike to tune. So everything goes hand in hand, and it's like a pyramid going like this. And she's getting better, but Paige is getting better with her driving, and Mike can keep tuning this thing up. I mean, we made really great strides last year, which is pretty cool. But I don't know, just kind of being a sounding board as a backup to anything that you need. So
you sit there like a boss. You're like, stogie in hand, sunglasses on, listening to the music. You work the merch cart.
Yeah.
You've made some sales.
I've made a few sales. It's scary, but
it's scary.
You do a nice job. And then you also have your little office where you can oversee. You sit in the trailer sometimes, you know, if it's too hot out, too cold.
And then your recent role where you started pulling her into the beams.
That is the most badass thing on the planet Earth.
You talk about nervous, trying to get to the same spot at the right time every time. Oh my gosh.
I got like this much room and I'm like, I'm still learning how to like adjust to it. But honestly, it's kind of more fun doing it that way because it does teach me how much I need to roll in. It's a learning curve. So I don't have it quite down yet, but to listen, like I remember when I was at the racetrack with my dad and hearing him talk about the way his runs would go, I had no idea how to comprehend what he was saying because I'd never driven anything like that before. And I'll never forget, Turbo Terry told me, gotta drive with your butt. And I'm like, okay. Like, I have no idea what that meant. And now I do, and it
By the
makes
seat
me
of your
laugh.
pants.
It makes me laugh because now I'm starting to understand what all of that means, and I can actually try to put it into play, like the pedaling. That was so flipping cool. I was so proud of myself. Because it's not easy to do. It sounds like so easy to say out loud, like, oh, this is all you have to do, and like that's how you could have won, or like this is how we could have drove just a smidge better, and it's always a learning curve. But when you're finally able to put two and two together, it's insane. And knowing that, like, it gave me a whole new level of respect for the way my dad drove, all of the different cars that he has in his life, and seeing those in-car camera videos or just simply hearing him talk about it. It's like, holy shit, that is so hard to do in the heat of the moment. We only have
3 seconds.
3 to 4 seconds to make these decisions so that we can either stay off the wall, don't cross the center line, and finish first.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to make those split decisions. And the way you did it was so effortless. And you had to go twice as far, but only maybe between 5 and 6 seconds. That's all he had to do. And it's nuts. It's nuts. And being able to finally understand and put it into play is just, it made me chuckle and just have that much bigger of appreciation for it, because I'm like, wow, this is hard.
It's amazing how that type of stuff can mature you really fast, in such a good way, to have respect for the vehicle,
Oh my gosh,
yourself, the people, the fans, the whole thing. I mean, it's
I would agree.
oh, it's awesome.
When I first started getting into it, I would say my mentality coming into No Prep Kings, I did not nearly have the maturity or the respect for it until after I learned the hard way.
I'm not saying you didn't have. I'm not saying.
No, I knew I didn't. I knew I didn't.
It grows you up really quick when you go through circumstances.
Oh, 100%.
Like
I
that.
needed to go through what I went through in order to have that respect and have that maturity to handle a vehicle like that, because I don't know if I could have done it to the best of my abilities like I do today, because I wouldn't have known what exactly that felt like. When that incident happened in Immokalee, I got out of the car and I'm like, now I know what Turbo Terry was talking about. Because I could feel it. Didn't know how to handle it, but I could feel it when I wrecked that car. And that just gave me that much more preparation and an understanding of like what that feels like in a door car, let alone going 3 seconds faster than what that car went. So it's nuts. You need that maturity and that respect, and I'm glad I learned it that way, as scary as it was. But you have to have that going in, and then it just makes you appreciate the whole thing overall. Like, I remember walking up there and seeing all these people in the stands, and I had never been a part of a racing organization like that, when it was like, man, all these people are coming here to watch us race. I was always the sportsman racer that nobody really stuck around to watch those, but we're a very important part of the NHRA, the sportsman racers are, and it was just really cool to see everybody who came there to watch and appreciate how fast these cars go and how crazy they are to drive. It's just door slammers and wildness. And first one to the finish line wins, no matter how you make it happen, as long as you stay in the lines. But I don't know, it just makes you really appreciate the whole thing and all the fans that come to cheer you on.
What was your guys' first car?
My first car? Like street car?
I would say you can answer either way. You can answer like your first street car and then also your first race car.
Okay. Jeez. I had a really shitty track record with my first car. Her name was Juniper. She was a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and when did I get my license? 2016, and she was 2015 or something like that. Somewhere around in there. And she was all black. It was the 75th edition. It had like these bronze wheels and the bronze grills. She was cool. She had a pearl coat in her. And I tell you what, I wrecked that thing how many times? Not wrecked. Wrecked is a strong word. I got into one minor accident, and then
They were just issues.
Yeah, and I hit a few other things. They weren't other vehicles, but they were stationary objects at my house. But she did not like me. Yeah, a few speeding tickets.
You get that every now and then.
Yeah, I learned. So that was my first street car, Juniper. And then my first race car If you don't count the junior dragsters, was Murder Dragster. That was a 2017 McElvain dragster. It was all, everything was black after Murder Nova. And then obviously we had the Jegs yellow on it, and Dean McElvain for McElvain Race Cars built it and gave me like these pinkish purplish lights. And then it has this light on the back that projects the J with a crown from Jegs on it.
Oh, yeah.
I have one of the coolest dragsters out there, and if anybody wants to challenge me on that, you're welcome to, but mine is the most badass dragster because Dean is awesome. So yeah.
Wow, I'd say my first car was a 75 Monza, Chevy Monza. Had a 406, or had a 262 cubic inch V8 in it, which, well, I'm not sure why. But we ended up putting, me and my brothers, my dad, and we put a 406 in it. I think it had a 5-speed in it, and a couple trips to jail for street racing and stuff like that. But within that 2-year period, got me back off the street and onto the drag strip, which was a smart thing. And I love my dad for that, for saying, hey, you need to put this on the racetrack because doing it on the street, you're going to get hurt. And he was right. I got lucky, didn't get hurt, but spent some nights in jail, and that is definitely no fun. An experience as a 17-year-old kid, nobody should have. Well, it was an experience. That's helped get me onto the racetrack with the love of the family. And then my first race car on the racetrack was an 87 Camaro, similar to the black and gold one there, except it was silver and black and yellow and black Jegs on the side. He raced it in bracket racing and super gas. And it was pretty cool. It definitely kept me from racing on the street, and I think ever since then, I've never really had a lot of fast street cars since then. And I drive like a grandpa probably since I got out of, probably since I stopped racing in 17.
I was gonna say,
Like 10 and 2, no cell phone.
You definitely have your grandpa moments, for sure.
Except on a rental car, but we won't go there. But anyway,
that's a totally different category that you can't even compare the two. So
no,
that's
not even on the street.
So was that Camaro? Was that the super gas car?
That was a super gas car, yeah.
The one that you broke the record in?
Oh no, that was the second car, the Cutlass.
Second one. Okay,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember.
We built a super gas car back in the 90s that had I don't know how much horsepower the thing had. The motor made 1,200. And we had like a 300 or 400 shot of nitrous on it. It ran 711, 194 back in like 1991 or something like that, which was fast enough to qualify for Pro Modified when we ran it all out.
Mm-hmm.
And again, then family stepped in. Again, the love of my parents saying, hey, if you're going to be going that fast, you probably should be racing a car that's designed to do that in a class where there's safety and stuff. So that's how I got into pro stock racing back in 93 or 4. But
okay, they're dying to know what happened to the Pro Mod Mustang.
The Pro Mod Mustang was Jose Gonzalez's car that was shopped at Proline down in Georgia. And I think when we stopped making runs in that in 2018, I think it got packaged up and sent overseas. But I don't know which country it went to. But pretty nice car. Pretty nice piece, yeah.
That color.
Love that gunmetal gray with the yellow Jegs on the side, man. It was different than our normal scheme, but
You set
it
a trend.
was pretty sexy though.
You set a
cool.
trend.
Yeah.
Now we're all kind of doing that. Well,
Yeah.
Uncle Mike did it in the top alcohol car.
Yeah, sometimes change is good.
It's just neat.
But
Fun little twist.
oh yeah. But that's what I understand. That's whose car it was that I drove for, and I know that he had it sold and shipped it overseas, but I don't remember which country it went to. And I haven't heard that it came back, so I'm not 100% sure. I know it's still over wherever it is.
If you could drive in any other series, like say for some reason, a couple years down the line, Purple Lead's not happening anymore. What series would you be drawn to? Like, what would you want to race in next?
It's a tough call. There's a couple really good ones.
I know. I'm like, it would be cool to run an NHRA Pro Modified because, my family's been so heavily involved in that series for as long as I've been alive and longer than that. Plus, it would be really cool. I know I've had a couple people say, oh, like, you should match race your brother. And I'm like, maybe one day, but just being able to race with him again. I grew up racing with my brother. He taught me a lot about bracket racing and .90 racing, and we were always together, like thick as thieves, on the road with Justin Bieber, and having the idea of going back to that, but on a professional level, to me sounds so much fun. Even if it's two different classes, pro mod and pro stock. I mean, I think that'd be a blast. But PDRA, they got some fast hot rods, so
Yeah,
I think it'd be cool to try that
too.
It'd be cool to try that too.
Yeah, PDRA is a really good series, and I believe, don't quote me on this, but NHRA, I think, kind of is putting something together.
I've heard some talks about that, putting some classes
I think was the
together.
guy that was head of that. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here, but there's a handful of really good series out there, so it's kind of tough. But I don't know, all I know is NHRA, and so that's my thoughts there would be kind of somewhere in there.
What is one thing that drag racing has taught you? Both of you.
Wow, it's taught me a lot.
I agree. It has, as like I said earlier, the racing, it matures you on how to talk to sponsors, people, racers, deal with customers, deal with a racer that's upset with you for some reason. It's grown me up pretty quick, especially when you started off on the streets and stuff like that, which is not a good idea.
Is there any one thing that like stands out above all else that you can like pinpoint?
Oh, I would say just maturing you, and it's taught me how to win.
Cool. Yeah.
Taught you how to surround yourself with the right people.
That's a
Whether it was in super gas or pro stock, pro modified, top fuel, any of those classes on that NHRA side, because that's all the experience I've ever had. But I think surrounding yourself with the right people and having the right person doing the right job and trying to keep them into that realm and being consistent, you'll win a lot.
It's really important. You see teams who have that, and you can tell. In my opinion, you can tell. And I know that our team is new, but I already see so much potential. I mean, Justin and Mike have been like two older brothers to me. I've grown up with them. I've known Beaver for like more 11 years now. Spice known me since I was little, and it's insane. He's like, tells me how old he is, and I'm like,
I know.
No, you're not.
You're
You're lying to me.
It was 2004 or 2005, I think, is when we started racing.
Yeah, I was like between 4 and 5 years old. So if that tells you anything, we really are a family, and they've known me for a long time, and I've known them for a long time. And now we're working together on a team on a professional level where, I've watched my dad be in this role, and now it's me in this role, and like learning what it takes to fulfill that to the best of my abilities. I think it's really cool, and surrounding yourself with the right people is so incredibly important, and I think it speaks a lot to their success as a team, because it's not one person who has the success, it's the whole team. So we win together and we lose together, and I think that was a big lesson, because beforehand it was always me. Like if I lost in bracket racing or if I lost in .90 racing, it was my fault, because I'm the one driving and I have control over the starting line, the middle, and the finish line, because that's how you bracket race or sportsman race. Here it's first one of the finish line wins, and there's so many more components that go into this race car that it takes a lot more than just one person to get this thing to work. And when you have those right people to make this work to the best of its ability, it just makes it that much sweeter. And I'm really excited to continue to work with them, because I know that we have it in us, and we're continuing to build together, like you said, a pyramid, and we're getting there. But that is so important, and I really, really learned that this year. Now that we do have a team, I'm working with more than just one person, and I'd say that's really, really important.
Yeah, and when you're racing these cars in these different classes, you're going to make mistakes, but as you fix those mistakes and roll forward, that's the maturity
Mhm.
that I'm seeing, because you don't make those same mistakes. You mature forward. That's been
Yeah.
a big thing I've seen in you and in myself. So,
I've got good people in my corner that when I do mess up, they'll point it out to me, but they'll also tell me, like, you know, here's how we can fix it.
Yeah.
You did a really great job doing this. We'll work on this part. I can help make the car do this in order to help make this a little bit easier, or we'll just continue to work. Well, now you know what that feels like, and yada, yada, yada. I think racing with the people that I have been racing with on Team Golden Child has made that much more rewarding, because now I'm like, it's all starting to click for me, and it's just challenging, but it definitely matures you. I've had to learn how to sell merch also. We never did that in NHRA. So that is no easy task, I will say, but talking to everybody has been absolutely so much fun.
Yeah.
I've met so many cool people and I've heard so many different stories from so many different walks of life, and I just really enjoy getting to meet everybody and talk to everybody. And the fact that they want to come up and talk to me, I think, is awesome. But selling the shirts, designing the shirts, ordering all the stuff that goes with it, that's really hard. And thankfully I have Cassie to help me with that, because I'd be lost without her.
That's
And
you, Cassie's
yeah,
right
that's
there.
she's right there.
She's
Okay.
always behind the camera.
But I think that all points back to having all the right people in your corner and knowing that you all can work together and work together well, like a well-oiled
Yeah,
machine.
we even fight good together.
We have what?
We even fight good together.
We do. It makes us stronger in the end, and sometimes you gotta get it out of your system. No Prep Kings has been the most fun because they want that. They want to hear you, not necessarily like getting mad within a team, but like other drivers and stuff. I think the most rewarding part was hearing Jen tell me I did a really good job saying something on the mic about Damon Merchant. I was really proud of myself.
Okay.
I'm like, yes.
Next question is, what is your favorite track to race at from last MPK season?
Oh my gosh, that's so tough.
In 2024.
We had some new tracks too that
Washington
were really cool.
was pretty cool.
Oh, that was cool
Washington
place.
was very neat. I've never raced so far away from home, so that was a really cool experience.
Yeah, it's 100% diagonal north from where we are.
Pretty much. I would say my favorite racetrack of all time is either Las Vegas or Bowling Green. Las Vegas simply because it's just a badass racetrack, and I remember watching you race there. It was always like, that was the last race of the NHRA Pro Modified season, so everything would always come down to this race.
Yeah.
And it was just so cool. I don't know. So I have a soft spot in my heart for Vegas in that sense. Plus, I never thought I'd be able to race at Vegas because it was always so far away. And now that I'm able to, I'm like, man, this is flipping cool. But Bowling Green, I feel like, is close to me because that's where I got my first driver's license for like race cars, my NHRA license. And where else? I won there in the future class. I won there in the big tire class the following year. And we just had success there. I've had success there in super comp racing. I beat TJ, and it was it was either 5 total or 9 total. His car broke. And Luke Bagaki, I think he lost like first or second round. I just see him pulling out of the racetrack, and I'm like, I had an opportunity to win the division. I finished second to Luke Bagaki, but I've had a lot of success at that racetrack, so I like Bowling Green a lot.
Yeah, Bowling Green, I got my first win at Bowling Green in 1987, before you guys were even born.
That's cool.
But I don't know, Columbus, Ohio National Trails has always had a soft spot in my heart. Epping, New Hampshire, fantastic track.
That's a cool one. I like that place too.
My favorite, I don't know. That's a tough call. I mean, the track we raced at this year for the first time up in Washington was packed, and the track surface was great. Same with the one in Oregon. So it's kind of a tough call, but Columbus has always had a soft spot. That might be, it was always close to home. And I'd have to say that. I'd say out of all the races that we went to this year. Yeah.
Okay.
Tough call.
So since we travel so much, we also find little tiny steakhouses and all funny things. We like steakhouses. What do you think is your favorite one that we went to this year, or like favorite in general?
Wow. We went
wish
to a
we made
couple.
list.
I mean, it was a lot of good ones.
Perry's was pretty damn good.
Yeah, Perry's is pretty strong.
That was a great way to finish out the year. Was Perry's.
From the NPK season, I would have to say Perry's for sure.
Yeah, just steak was great, cut like butter. I'm a sides girl. If you want a good review from me when it comes to a steakhouse, your sides have to impress me.
Sides
And
count.
the béarnaise sauce has to be up to par because I'm a béarnaise sauce girl. And that restaurant accomplished all of that. And I think we had like a pomegranate martini, and that was pretty on point too, I will say. And I was just overall very impressed. The service was great, the food was fabulous, and Cassidy really redeemed herself on that.
There was a couple
That
rough patches.
Yeah,
I took
Cassidy
her
was
to
like 2-0 before Perry's. Like what racetrack was that?
0-2.
0-2. Sorry.
0-2.
Reverse.
I took her to I took everybody to like 2 really bad restaurants. Like it was not good.
I don't
Where's
remember
that
that.
restaurant where
It was
looked
like,
really good on mine, and then it totally.
and you got
failed.
inside and you were like, oh.
What
It had,
about the?
It had the weird béarnaise sauce. It was like a butter.
It was like
We
a
were
butter, and I was like, that's not pretty.
Okay. Hey, we can't count out the place in New York.
Oh,
Yeah, we went-
town.
they had this caramel apple martini, and we got it every
What's the
single
name of
time
that
we went
place?
there. It was like dessert before dinner, and then I thought their steak was good, but I would order the mac and cheese just for myself.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
gosh.
we
So
were
good.
we were in Epping for a long time because we got there and then they moved the race because it was supposed to rain. So we were there like a day or 2 extra, I think,
Mhm.
and we went to that steakhouse every single day.
Yeah.
I think there was one time we didn't go because we
Was
were
it Epping or was
We
it
had-
New York?
It was
New
New
York.
York.
It was New
Empire.
York. You're right, Empire.
Empire.
Empire. Yeah.
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 So good.
I get those 2 tracks confused too. Yeah. 'Cause
It was
I can't
Empire,
really
yeah,
name
because
this.
that was also like the only thing around.
Yeah. Oh, it was
Pretty
good.
much.
They were like, "Oh, you're back."
Oh, we're definitely going back. If we're racing at Empire this year, we're going back
Yeah,
to
we'll
that
check
place.
that.
I'm getting me a big bowl of mac and cheese. I'm
That mac and
not
cheese is good.
sharing with any of you.
You wouldn't share with Johnny?
No,
She
who's
started
gonna
getting
eat it?
she started getting it as a meal. It started as an
It's-
appetizer and
it's
then
that
turned into
good.
a meal.
Need a little grilled
Yeah.
chicken in it. TJ's gotta try it. TJ's the mac and cheese
That sounds good,
connoisseur.
too.
You want to know what size tire you run on the Camaro?
It's 34.
Which Camaro?
The
The street car?
The no car, the no car car.
I think it's a 34.5, I believe.
That's what I think.
I think that's a rule, the biggest tire you can put on that for the NPK rules, according to the rules.
Yeah, this year
Yeah.
for sure.
Next year could be different.
Could be. We don't know.
When did you start racing?
Started racing on the drag strip probably in 1987, about midway through the season.
How old were you?
Wow. And so I would have been 64 or there, probably 20.
You got your
Maybe
first win at 20.
21. That was, yeah, no, you're right. It was the first year. It was
I'm
in.
slacking.
No, you're going for it. It was in May. I remember it was May of that year.
That's
of
cool.
87. So yeah,
Apple
that was
green.
the first time in the year we started.
It's impressive. I've never won a sportsman event. Never won
It was
one.
tough back then, and it's really tough today.
I
I mean, you
remember
gotta be spot on.
it was the 2018. We ran Division 3, and we lost it like 4 cars, 6 cars, 8 cars, 6 cars, 4 cars. Never got to a final, but would always lose like right before that.
Mm-hmm.
We almost won the championship without winning a race, like you did in Pro
Mhm.
Mod one year.
Yeah.
So badass.
That's fun. I'll never forget
It's
that.
like, mic drop.
What made you choose the 3rd gen Camaro?
Well, so if y'all can see this, I'll pull it up. I'm be real gentle with her. Oh, the door. No, down. So this little model right here, this is the car that we drive today. This is what it used to look like.
That's
Now-
when Mikey and let's see, I raced it in what year was it?
2009?
2009.
hmm So this is what it used to look like. This is why it's named Golden Child, is this gold color. That's where we got it from, despite what y'all think. That's the real reason for the name. And, let's head down real nice. All right. So that car's been around our family for a very long time. It's Mike Reese's car. And you drove that in NMCA?
Yeah, Nostalgia Pro Street back in 2009. And
So it's special to us. I think it's cool that Mike drove it, you drove it, Mike's wife Nicole raced
yeah,
it.
she raced
She
it in
did.
small tire stuff.
Small tire class, just around locally to them. And when we kind of decided what we wanted to do, saying like, Dad, I think I'm finally ready to try something with doors, because it took me some time to admit it. He was like, okay, well, and then we kind of were like, well, we have this 3rd gen right here. And Mike was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And that's kind of where the No Prep was born.
Came from, yeah.
Yeah, we were
I want to say it was a small tire car before that. Then he modified it over about a 6 or 7 month period and turned it into more of a no prep car in the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we started, was that conversation there, really.
Yeah, so we didn't build a new car. We didn't copy Kai Kelly. We didn't do any of that. This car has been very close to us for a long time, and I find it incredibly special that I get to drive the same car my dad used to race. And a lot of people don't have that same opportunity, so I'm very appreciative of that fact. And to me, I'm like, that just makes that 3rd gen Camaro the most special one in the series. And it's the prettiest. It's the prettiest.
Yeah.
The other 3rd gen guy knows it too.
Yeah.
He admitted it to me up here, and he's like, "You're saying yours is prettier?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, walks off. So.
The guy that painted it?
No, the other 3rd gen driver.
Oh. So what?
Kai Kelly.
Kai Kelly.
Oh, Kai, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
This car's fast.
He has jokes on social media right now. He'll be like, "So you're admitting mine's faster now?" Like after he won the.
I was like, well,
This is fast.
it is fast.
I mean, you did go.
We've never raced each other really. The only time we ever lined up against each other, he broke a blower belt.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's not really fair.
They keep asking what color the new car is going to be.
God, I don't know. That's.
Not gonna be brown. I'll tell you that.
I don't know if it'll be the root beer color or not. I mean, what do the people in the world think? Would they think that would be really cool on X amount of body style car? Yeah, I don't know. Not sure. But I don't know.
Or should we just shake it up? Change it up?
I think we have not solidified what color we're gonna do it yet, so we still have a couple different ideas floating around. And like for me, I want to shake it up. Like, but that's because of the vision I have for like what we are going to bring out for either the end of 25 or 2026. Like, I have this whole idea of like what I want to do, but that doesn't mean it's set in stone yet. It's just like, here's the reason why I want to pick this color, like all that jazz, and we're gonna name it. And the name is going to be different. It will not be Golden Child. It'll be their sibling. But Golden Child is the 3rd gen Camaro. I think it's something that is always going to be that way for the rest of our history in drag racing. So I think I'm going to honor the Camaro with that name. And she's going to have that one. Can't carry it over, so we're going to give it a sibling, in my opinion.
Where are we running in the car this year? If you can say.
So for 2025,
yes, in the car this year.
it's definitely a Proline Hemi. And depending on the rules, will depend on the power outage.
So we don't have a definite answer for you yet, because we don't have the rules yet. Hopefully we'll get those soon.
We have enough pieces to go a couple different directions that we've obtained over the last year and a half.
Yeah,
So it's kind of waiting on the sanctioning rules and stuff like that, and then either put a giant supercharger on it, or leave it as a Pro Charger, or it might have turbochargers. I mean, I don't know. I wished I knew that answer to tell them, because then we'd have rules, we'd have a sanction, everything would be perfect. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. All right. Is it a lot of pressure racing? Like a lot of pressure on you racing when you have such a successful family history in the racing world?
Oh, sure. I mean, geez, look at them all. Look at them all. It's nuts. I would say that it's a lot of pressure because, especially of the success that the rest of my family members have had, like knowing my brother's success in the sportsman ranks, I was always so stressed out because I'm like, man, I want to be just like TJ, be really good at this stuff like TJ, because TJ's really, really great at that kind of thing. And watching him race in the sportsman in the .90 is just straight up impressive. That's something I could never quite wrap my head around. But he has that avenue, and now he's got the pro stock. And then Uncle Jeg, he's the same way, like just straight up talented in the way that they drive. Uncle Mike, Uncle John, my dad, all of them are very, very talented, but they all have their own like unique ways of showing just how talented they are. And it's like, it is a very big feat, because you're like, wow, okay, yeah, I started off in the sportsman racing. I had a little bit of success there, but it still is not the same as compared to my uncles, my dad, and my brother. They had more success in my eyes. They did it all around like, oh, okay, haven't measured up there yet. But then I come into a bigger car with doors that it's more of like the professional level, and we're racing all these races a year, and you're on this stage, and you're like, wow, everybody knows who my dad is based off of his success in the NHRA classes that he has ran. And I remember when we first started, watching all these guys come up to you and talk to you, and I'm just like, oh shit.
And now,
oh no.
and now today they come up to me and say, oh, you're Paige's dad. So
Isn't that wild?
That's always funny too.
I'm like, I don't even know if I believe that fully, because I'm like, no. But I don't know if I'll ever be able to fill those shoes, but I try every single year to just be that much better. They are, I mean, there is a lot of pressure, and I think I learned a lot about how to kind of still be my own person, especially this year. We went through a little spot in our season where we were just trying our hardest. We were throwing stuff at the car. We just kept drawing the wrong people, and something would happen where it's like, man, we just needed the luck to go our way just a little bit, and we kept losing first or second round. Remember that? There was a couple of races where it was like boom, 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 boom. And sometimes you go through that. It's all part of racing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, like everybody knows who we are, and like I'll know who my dad is. And it's like, I kept saying like, I can't even drive this car past first or second round. And you know, I think that was a big hurdle for me to jump over as a driver, because it's like, one, we're a team, and two, it's like, they're not expecting you to just come out here and flip and pull it out of your butt and kick some ass, and you have to earn that, and you have to get there. And I mean, all the brothers, my brother, my dad, they earned their success by working at it, and it took time. It didn't happen overnight, and sometimes I forget that. So
It takes time.
it's going to take some time to even come close to filling the shoes that the generation before me has laid out, and that my brother continues to chip away at. So we got some ways to go, but I think it also makes me a better driver, because I'm just determined that much more every single race to try to live up to what these guys are. So yeah, it's a lot of pressure, but I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. Who was your favorite driver to line up against in your like history of driving? Do you have like a favorite person?
Yeah, there's a handful. Geez, out. Probably one of the. God, there's so many good competitors out there, but one that we had a great little run together is probably with Ricky Smith. I would say in the last, oh my gosh, 6 years of racing pro modified, he was right there with us.
You'd all like trade places too sometimes.
Yeah.
One would win, one would runner up.
Yeah.
And go back and forth and back and forth.
It's like last 6 years of racing, I finished first 3 times and finished second 4 times. But he was probably the biggest one I enjoyed racing, because he was the best of the nitrous cars, and to beat him is a big thing. I mean, he was tough. He ran his mouth. There was times he would come over and jump in my car and start poking you in the chest and picking at you and calling you name, you know, this and that and this and that. It's just a competition coming out. You know, when you beat them a handful of times, they tend to get a little irritated. But I love that. That was so much fun. There's, you know, times you get out of the race car at the finish line and he's shaking his head Said, I thought they took 2 or 3 pounds of boost away from you guys at Indy. I think it was one of the last years. And I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. You know, because NHRA took away 3 pounds of boost. That's close to 300 horsepower. It's pretty good change.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to figure out how to make that work with 300 less horsepower. And I think we ran 2 or 3 hundredths faster than everybody on the first run. It was just a never forgetting moment. But Ricky Smith was probably the person I probably raced a lot and enjoyed running up against him. Because he brought something out of you that some of the other racers might not have. Because when you're beating Ricky Smith, I mean, you're beating the king of pro modified.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. I enjoyed watching you guys race each other because it's just, it's very entertaining. He's fun to watch because he's a hoot. But the way you guys would compete against one another, it was unmatched.